Good morning, St. Kitts and Nevis, and welcome to The Edge here on ZIZ Radio 96.1 FM. I'm your host, Devonne Cornelius, and thank you for joining me on the program for today, Friday, March 14th, 2025. It is 2 minutes past the 11 o'clock hour, and again, thank you so much for tuning in to today's program. This conversation is being carried live. This conversation is being carried live via our social media platforms, so you can check us out on our YouTube channel at ZIZ Online and via Facebook at ZIZ Broadcasting Corporation, and of course on TV at Channel 5. When we open the phone lines, you may call us at 662-8674. That is 662-8674. You can call and lend your voice to the conversation at hand. Just to provide, share some quick updates with you. The National Assembly will be meeting on Friday, March 21st. That is next Friday at 10 a.m. And the order paper and other papers will be issued at a later date. Recently here in St. Kitts and Nevis, the National Council on Drug Abuse Prevention proudly announced the successful certification of 15 frontline workers in the Universal Prevention Curriculum, or UPC series, for practitioners core course. The online course, which ran from October 10th to December 23rd, 2024, provided participants with specialized training in prevention science. These 15 frontline professionals join 9 others from across the Federation who have previously completed the course. Their certification marks a significant step in enhancing the nation's capacity to implement evidence-based prevention strategies. During the certificate distribution ceremony held on Friday, during the certificate distribution ceremony held on Friday, that's today, at the NEMA Conference Room, Director of the National Council on Drug Abuse Prevention, Karimu Byron Keynes, emphasized the significance of the UPC program in her welcoming remarks, and she stated that the program is an important initiative that equips participants with the knowledge, skills, and strategies to implement effective and evidence-based prevention interventions. This rigorous training ensures that our communities benefit from well-trained or well-informed proactive approaches to substance misuse prevention, ultimately fostering a healthier and more resilient society. The National Council on Drug Abuse Prevention Chairman, ACP Travis Rogers, extended his congratulations to the participants and underscored the necessity of collaboration in sustaining drug prevention efforts. The local trainer, Sasha Gay McDermott, commended the graduates for their resilience and dedication throughout the rigorous training. She stated that this milestone is a testament to their dedication, hard work, and unwavering commitment to persevere despite the many challenges encountered on the journey toward achieving your knowledge and skills. The National Council on Drug Abuse Prevention extended its gratitude to the Inter-American Drug Abuse Control Commission within the Organization of American States and the Department of State of the United States of America for their support in organizing, funding, and providing technical assistance for this intensive and rewarding certification program. The training and certification initiative aligned with global efforts to reduce substance misuse, abuse, and trafficking, reinforcing the importance of continued cooperation and investment in prevention strategies. We'll take a short break, and when we come back, we'll continue the conversation here on The Edge. Stay with us.
Guess what? March Madness is here with ZIZ, celebrating 64 years strong where your brand belongs. St. Kitts and Nevis, it's time to level up your business with the biggest ad sale of the year. We've got it all at crazy discounted rates. Radio, TV, and social media. Want to make big sales? You need to be where the people are. And guess what? They're tuned into ZIZ, the #1 broadcast network in the Federation. Maximum reach, unbeatable deals, and 64 years of trusted media power. Don't get left behind. Secure your spot now before they're gone. Call our marketing team at 662-8203 or email sales@ZIZonline.com today. It's ZIZ March Madness. 64 years strong, where your brand belongs.
Every Saturday from 4 p.m. to 8 p.m., ZIZ Radio goes into overdrive with the Magic Fingers Ronnie Rascal Mega Mix Show. You heard? Up your dial to 96.1 FM. It's the show that brings the vibes to your Saturday afternoon lime, bar hopping, party hangouts, or just driving around. You don't want to miss the Saturday Mega Mix Show. You don't want to miss the Saturday Mega Mix Show. It's old school and new school remixes by yours truly, Magic Fingers, Ronnie Rascal, every Saturday from 4 p.m. to 8 p.m. ZIZ Radio.
Hey, guess what? It's Radio Market.
Call in and sell your merchandise. You can negotiate and negotiate, give and trade.
We on radio, internet, and TV.
Like us, share us, and subscribe to
ZIZonline.com.
And remember, we don't sell nothing over $5,000. Join us every Saturday morning at 10 o'clock right here on ZIZ Radio. Call 465-6120, 465-1903, 662-8674, or 718-577-2916. ZIZ Radio, giving back to the people.
From the heart of ZIZ Radio comes a political talk show like no other. The Edge, with host Devonne Cornelius giving you his take on the biggest stories happening in governance today. Got something to say? Let's hear it. Give us a call at 869-465-2555, Monday to Friday from 11 a.m. to 12 noon. One solid hour of in-depth analysis of the machinery that makes our country tick. The Edge, cutting into the matters at hand.
The views and opinions expressed by participants and callers during this program are solely their own and do not necessarily reflect the views, opinions, or policies of ZIZ Broadcasting Corporation, its management, or sponsors. The station accepts no responsibility for statements made. Hello and welcome back to The Edge here on ZIZ Radio 96.1 FM. I'm Devonne Cornelius and thank you for joining me in the program for today. Remember, we are live via our social media platforms. We're going to open the phone lines in a bit, and you may call us at 662-8674. That is 662-8674. Call us and lend your voice to the conversation at hand. On Wednesday, this Wednesday, March 12th, the Department of Agriculture, St. Kitts, welcomed experts from Southern University for a specialized extension for a specialized extension officer training session, which was held in the department's large conference room. The day kicked off with an insightful theory session, providing a solid foundation for enhancing the livestock sector. In the afternoon, participants hit the field for hands-on practical training, where they learned specific techniques aimed at improving livestock management and boosting productivity. The initiative is another step forward in building greater collaborations, strengthening agricultural practices, and enhancing food security. A huge thank you to Southern University for their continued support and knowledge sharing. Together we are building a bright future for agriculture, and this is according to the Ministry of Agriculture here in St. Kitts and Nevis. A recent visit from Southern University, and we know that the Ministry of Agriculture and Southern University have an ongoing partnership, as well as the government of St. Kitts and Nevis by extension has a partnership with Southern University. We are nationals of St. Kitts and Nevis can study at Southern University, I believe, at scholarships at a reduced rate and so on. So they were recently here for a visit and to offer training, extension officer training right here in St. Kitts to add towards the development of the agricultural sector in St. Kitts and Nevis as we continue to focus on reducing our food import bill and looking at the various challenges that we have as it relates to agriculture and what we are trying to do to address those issues as St. Kitts and Nevis moves forward to becoming a sustainable island state. And so it means that whatever we do must be aligned with the sustainable island state agenda, the sustainable development goals, and all of these different things. Of course, these things are not going to happen overnight, but it's going to take, hard work and dedication, and we must all be on the same page. We must all be on board to ensure the success of these initiatives. So that was the Ministry of Agriculture hosting an extension officer training to equip their agricultural workers with the skills necessary to add to the agricultural sector here in St. Kitts and Nevis. Looking at regional connectivity and regional travel, very recently, St. Kitts and Nevis celebrated the official unveiling of St. Kitts and Nevis branded Inter-Caribbean Airways aircraft, and this was at the Robert L. Bradshaw Airport, the RLB Airport. The event, which was attended by ministers of government, representatives from Inter-Caribbean Airways, tourism officials, members of the media, and tourism stakeholders, marked an exciting new chapter in the nation's growing influence in regional air travel. Among the notable attendees were the Prime Minister, the Honorable Dr. Terence Drew, as well as the Civil Aviation Authority, the Turks and Caicos Islands, and Trevor Sadler, the Chief Executive Officer of Inter-Caribbean Airways. Now, speaking at this launch was the Minister of Tourism, of course, the Honorable Marsha Henderson, who said, quote, "Branding is more than just a logo on the plane. It is a visual promise, a declaration of identity, and a strategic tool that elevates St. Kitts and Nevis in the competitive global tourism industry." She noted that every time this aircraft departs from or arrives at a destination, it serves as a moving billboard, capturing attention, sparking curiosity, and reinforcing our position as a world-class destination. Travelers will see St. Kitts and Nevis boldly represented, ensuring that our destination remains top of mind and inviting. Now, the partnership between St. Kitts and Nevis and Inter-Caribbean Airways began on March 12, 2023, with the airline's inaugural flight to the destination, marking the beginning of a strengthened regional air connection. The branded aircraft represents a dynamic evolution of this relationship, one that transcends business dealings and embodies a shared vision for seamless travel and connectivity in the Caribbean region. As part of St. Kitts and Nevis' ongoing commitment to sustainable tourism and economic development, the branded aircraft serves as a testament to the destination's continued drive to innovate, and position itself as a leading destination in the Caribbean. It is 18 minutes past, and we're going to open the phone lines now and begin taking your calls at 662-8674. That is 662-8674. We're taking your calls here on The Edge for Friday, March 14th, 2024. Still a buzz in the news is the U.S. policy as it relates to Cuban officials. The chair of CARICOM, Prime Minister Mia Mottley, has spoken on the issue and has basically stood with our Caribbean nations, the Caribbean countries, on this matter. So Prime Minister Mia Mottley, who is the chair of CARICOM, and I believe she was speaking in her capacity as the chair of CARICOM, spoke on the issue and has basically stated, look, I am willing to lose my visa. However, Barbados does not participate in that health program or medical program where there are Cuban doctors in Barbados. Now, here's my take on this whole visa policy by the United States, which is interesting. So the U.S. is alleging that the reason why they have brought forward the restriction on medical officials or government officials who allegedly participate in programs that they believe are exploitative and harsh conditions where the Cuban doctors are not being treated well. You have allegations from the U.S. stating that, it's a case where doctors, their salaries are not being paid directly to them, but instead have suggested that their salaries are being paid to the Cuban government. And then the Cuban government would do whatever they want with that. And so most of the countries, I think, in the region, including St. Kitts and Nevis, have rejected those allegations. We are not participating in what the United States is alleging, and nor do we have any knowledge of what the United States is alleging as it relates to this issue. And our Foreign Affairs Minister, Dr. Denzel Douglas, spoke on that. But many people, gave their take on this, with some suggesting, the United States is trying to be a big bully. They're trying to dictate what happens outside of the U.S. They're trying to, portray themselves as the king. We're in charge. We have the final say. And so some viewed it as an attempt to want to push small island developing states into a corner and say, look, you either choose between this long-standing relationship that you have had with Cuba that has really benefited the development of the region, or you choose visas. We understand that the foreign affairs ministers, and I believe some prime ministers, have since met with officials from the White House to discuss this issue, to see how we can come to a resolution. Whether, I don't know, they're investigating the allegations or whatever. And then we were made to understand that this was something that was initiated under the Biden administration in terms of calling down or questioning the legitimacy or the the soundness, rather, of the program, where Cuba would send their trained doctors to other countries. But I think it's an interesting debate, is a conversation that needs to continue so that we could hear both sides of what is really going on. From the U.S. perspective, well, let me say the three sides. The U.S. perspective, Cuba, and the countries, that participate in this program. Do you believe that the U.S. is just being a big bully, similar to what we saw from the EU as it relates to our CBI programs, and I believe from the US as well, where they were saying, look, your programs are corrupt, your programs need to be cleaned up, and there are very shady people participating in these programs. And what did the region do? The region, or the countries that administer CBI programs, they went back to the drawing board to some extent. They looked at their current legislation and whatever policies they have in place as it relates to CBI programs, and they, I would say, did an overhaul. They did an overhaul, and they put in place a number of measures to save the CBI programs and to ensure that these CBI programs remain competitive. There are people who argue. Here it is. We have a case where these larger countries are saying to the smaller ones, look, you guys need to clean up your backyard. You have some things going on down there that we believe are shady. But what about you? It's almost like they want to portray themselves as holier than thou, that they have no issues in their country. All that happens in the US, all that happens in the UK or Canada or those other countries, everything is fine, everything is well. Only in the Caribbean, only in countries that they view as third world countries, there are unjust things happening. There are things that are not supposed to be happening. Now, this is not me in an attempt to try to, pacify the issue and trying to say, yes, we should not address the concerns or whatever in any matter, whether it be related to this, the Cuba medical labor debate issue, or CBI or whatever. But time and time again, these countries come with the big stick mentality, and they say to these small islands that you guys corrupt, you guys have this going on, you guys have that going on. But what about you? What about you? You don't have nothing going on. Are you holier than thou? Don't you have issues in your country? And these are the conversations that we need to have. These are the conversations that I believe are important, that are meaningful. But in all of this, yes, we have to remember diplomacy, because we do have relationships, good relationships with those countries, those larger countries. But this is not the first time these countries have said to small islands that you need to fix this, and you need to fix that. But what are you going to fix? What are you going to fix? There's this, I don't remember it word for word, but there's this quote in the Bible. You take the something with your eye and the something. Help me here, GQ. Take the beam out your eye before you want to come look in my eye. You understand? You dance a yard before you dance abroad. And that's the conversation that we really need to have. And I think that was one of the big questions that a lot of people had. Are our prime ministers, our foreign affairs ministers, or are we, as a Caribbean or CARICOM, are we going to back down and say, well, Cuba, goodbye, we are done with you. We want no relationship with you. The United States has said that we are ill-treating or mistreating your doctors, so here, take them. What they've said is true. We want to hold on to our visas. And that is what people were asking. Is it that what CARICOM is going to do? And so far, CARICOM has said, look, you're right. No. That is not how it goes. And I think it's a response that CARICOM nationals are proud of. You know, you're coming now making these allegations. What evidence do you have to support these allegations? Just can't come and say, well, I hear you involved in this, so I'm going to sanction you for that. And it has been a lot of that. I think I've been chatting for far too long, so again, the phone lines are open and we're taking your calls at 662-8674. That is 662-8674. Call us and lend your voice to the conversation. What are your thoughts on this and other matters that I've raised here this morning? Or if you have anything of your own that you'd like to share with the listening audience. We'll take our first call for this morning. Hello, caller, you're on the air. Good morning.
Blessed rising, brother Devonne. How you guys going?
I am doing very well. What about you?
Thankful for the Almighty love. I've been thankful for the sunrise and thankful for seeing the moment of life just charging to the earth. And we just like to say for your general program you're bringing forward, that good highlight you're bringing, and I would like to say good day to your listeners via radio and internet. Now you outline some critical aspect of the moment that was stated by the gangsters them call America. We call them America because they are not genuine to our human development. And we putting no emphasis to try this regard, but it's just to say that it's time now we are the African people, relate ourselves as spiritual people, respectful people, but don't have people trying to do what they want us to do, but it's not well-being for the safety of our people. Now, you outline about the Cuban doctor. I will support the statement from the Barbados Prime Minister outlining our stand. I hope that our leader in his own capacity can raise this year in the turn of supporting the Cuban people. Even I don't like communism, because I don't have to go down the road in the aspect of why not. But I just like to say the attribution to our territories and regions have been far more common than even the thing that they say, these Americans they say that they give as a support within some social development. And we still have a dictatorship in that kind of capacity. And we've seen it happen again because now the gangster is returned to his White House. He outlines some challenge that he will do against our people down in these regions. So we have to be more cooperative with our people strongly and wisely, and not let a dictatorship come upon our people. So thankful for this discussion.
Thank you so much for your contribution to the program. The phone lines remain open, and we take your calls at 662-8674. That is 662-8674. If you have no calls right now, we'll take a break, and when we come back, we'll continue the conversation. Stay with us.
Guess what? March Madness is here with ZIZ, celebrating 64 years strong where your brand belongs. St. Kitts and Nevis, it's time to level up your business with the biggest ad sale of the year. We've got it all at crazy discounted rates. Radio, TV, and social media. Want to make big sales? You need to be where the people are. And guess what? They're tuned into ZIZ, the #1 broadcast network in the Federation. Maximum reach, unbeatable deals, and 64 years of trusted media power. Don't get left behind. Secure your spot now before they're gone. Call our marketing team at 662-8203 or email sales@ZIZonline.com today. It's ZIZ March Madness, 64 years strong, where your brand belongs.
Every Saturday from 4 p.m. to 8 p.m., ZIZ Radio goes into overdrive with the Magic Fingers Ronnie Rascal Mega Mix Show. You heard? Up your dial to 96.1 FM. It's the show that brings the vibes to your Saturday afternoon lime, bar hopping, party hangouts, or just driving around. You don't want to miss the Saturday Mega Mix Show. You don't want to miss the Saturday Mega Mix Show. It's old school and new New school remixes by yours truly, Magic Fingers, Ronnie Rascal, every Saturday from 4 p.m. to 8 p.m. ZIZ Radio.
Hey, guess what? It's Radio Market.
Call in and sell your merchandise. You can negotiate, give away and trade.
We on radio, internet, and TV.
Like us, share us, and subscribe to
ZIZonline.com.
And remember, we don't sell nothing over $5,000. Join us every Saturday morning at 10 o'clock right here on ZIZ Radio. Call 465-6120, 465-1903, 662-8674 or 718-577-2916. ZIZ Radio, giving back to the people.
From the heart of ZIZ Radio comes a political talk show like no other. The Edge, with host Devonne Cornelius giving you his take on the biggest stories happening in governance today. Got something to say? Let's hear it. Give us a call at 869-465-2555, Monday to Friday from 11 a.m. to 12 noon. One solid hour of in-depth analysis of the machinery that makes our country tick. The Edge, cutting into the matters at hand.
The views and opinions expressed by participants and callers during this program are solely their own and do not necessarily reflect the views, opinions, or policies of ZIZ Broadcasting Corporation, its management, or sponsors. The station accepts no responsibility for statements made. Welcome back to The Edge on ZIZ Radio 96.1 FM. I'm your host, Devonne Cornelius, and thank you for joining me in the program for today. The phone lines remain open at 662-8674. That is 662-8674. For those of you who are just joining the conversation, I've given a short little commentary on the Cuba labor debate issue where the U.S. has imposed visa restrictions or is looking to impose visa restrictions on government officials or Cuban officials who allegedly participate in an exploitative labor program where Cuban-trained doctors or medical professionals from Cuba are sent to other countries to work and live, and the conditions in which they are working and living are not well. And so they have imposed that restriction, and they've said, look, it's either that or you give up your U.S. visa. This is what they're saying to these government officials and Cuban officials. I also shared some details on the National Drug Council Abuse Control Commission, I believe that it is. They recently conducted or concluded a training session, and I think more than 10 people in St. Kitts and Nevis have since received their certificates. And then the partnership with Southern University, where they were recently here in the Federation this Wednesday to meet with the Ministry of Agriculture for an extension officer training session. And this is part of the Ministry of Agriculture's effort to continue to support the government's agenda of a sustainable island state. So the phone lines are open, and we want to hear from you. What are your thoughts on these matters that I've raised, in particular the Cuban issue? Yes, we've touched on this, but there has since been a new development where the chair of CARICOM, Mayor Motley, has spoken on the issue. Has basically, giving her take on it, saying, look, I'm willing to give up my visa. And the thing is, Mia Motley is in a different position because she is one of those countries that do not benefit from the Cuban doctors. So in a sense, it's like, well, maybe there are doctors down here, but let me just join the call. Let's head back to the phone lines and we'll take this call.
Good call.
Hello, caller, you're on the air. Good morning.
Good morning, Mr. Moderator.
Good morning.
We Caribbean people, we are appealing people. We do not have any friends, nor any dreams. But what we have amongst ourselves, we are decent and brave people. And we are not going to be bullied by anybody. No. The Cuban doctors, they didn't come in by the first line. They didn't have to go through any great bush to hide. No. They didn't come in that Lime Kiln Bay. They didn't come in that Great Bay. They didn't come in the Brimstone Hill. No. They came in at Papa Llewellyn Blatter Airport. They are fully certified people. Fully certified. We Caribbean people, when we choose leaders, we choose decent people to lead us. And we're not going to cut in the corners to place anybody as president or prime minister. We're not going to beg for elbows. We're not going to do that. If you're not qualified, if you have a crime against you, we're not going to choose any leader. If you have to be someone who did something in the past and will cut you background, and it is not satisfactory to be in politics, we warn you. What is wrong with these people? I don't want to call it names. I don't want to get bugged today, because if I get bugged, somebody let it stay here. Let it stay here. What I'm saying is, we are a decent people, and we are not going to be bullied by anybody. Let me reiterate that fact. Thank you much, my sister.
And God, thank you for your contribution to the program. It's 11:40 and the phone lines remain open at 662-8674. That is 662-8674. You're listening to The Edge here on ZIZ Radio 96.1 FM. Let's head back to the phone lines and we'll take this call. Hello, caller, you're on the air. Good morning.
Hey, good morning. This Granny. The other day, I had a dream. It's before this passport thing come up. And the dream was that the Caribbean countries there were trying to live as one. Then when this passport thing come up, I've listened to a couple ministers from different countries speaking of on it, right? And then I went back and said, "Bye, that dream there really and truly telling us, that the Caribbean them supposed to live as one, Because since I growing up, I've been hearing that the students them here from thinking going to Cuba for study, going to be doctors or whatever it is, right? And I've been saying all the time that yes, Cuba has been looking out for the Caribbean countries. I don't know how much countries you find that doctors in. The minister for Barbados said, if it wasn't for when COVID, if it wasn't for the Cuban doctors then,
right,
that helped in COVID, they don't know what they're going to do. Right? And then I said to myself, we need to try to live as one. All the ministers them for the Caribbean countries them should come, hold a meeting, sit down, talk, and walk out so they don't get rid of it. Because they got a member, is the punishment is to the ministers then, right? More or less to suffer the countries. So more or less maybe we'll still get food or whatever, in case maybe. But it's time for we as a Caribbean nation to live as one. Don't think about just the Eastern Caribbean. So we share the same dollar, wherever the case will be. Since before 2016, I've been telling ministers, think it's supposed to be having a boat leaving from here with products to go into people's country. We're supposed to be saying, okay, then Dominica boat coming. Other countries are supposed to be saying that think it's boat coming with products and so. This is a wake-up call to the Caribbean leaders then. Walk out now. We got to stand as one. We ain't got a big army now, nothing. But we could survive our free land. Thank you for listening.
All right, Carla, thank you for your contribution. I mean, with that, there has to be something to export. If we don't want to grow the food, then what are we going to export? Yes, you have the farmers who are putting in the work, the backyard gardeners. But time and time again, we continue to say that St. Kitts and Nevis needs to grow more food. We need to do more of this. We need to do more of that. But it begs the question, what are we doing? You know, what exactly are we doing to contribute to that? But I get the point that you are making in terms of the CARICOM ministers or the Caribbean prime ministers or whoever coming together. I think they recently met for what they have dubbed their 48th regular meeting. And I would want to believe that this was one of the issues that took center stage in terms of how do they address or how do they come up with a collective or unified response to this issue. And of course, other things like food security, energy security, and all of these different things, you know, would naturally form part of the conversation. But the point that you've made is quite valid, you know, in terms of our Caribbean countries coming together. But as you made the statement, Carla, I go back to, I think it was last year, when we had the conversation about regional integration, which basically was saying, hey, people who participate in this bubble, for lack of a better term, can come to St. Kitts and Nevis, or vice versa. We can go to their country to set up shop and to make a contribution to their economy, make a contribution to the development of the region. And there were quite a number of people who were like, no, we don't really want that. We don't want that. So on one hand, we're saying we want regional integration. We want the Caribbean to work together. We want Caribbean people to support each other. But on the other hand, we don't want regional integration. We don't think that somebody should come from Dominica or Antigua to open a business or to contribute to our workforce and the development of our economy because they are not from St. Kitts and Nevis. And so it begs the question, where are we exactly? Misplaced priorities? Is it a case where we don't know what we want? We're all over the place. We can't make up our minds. You know, these are legit questions that we must ask ourselves. You know, we sit down and we ask ourselves these questions. What exactly do we want? Do we really want regional integration? Or does it sound good when we say that we want regional integration? We like the idea and the sound of it, you know, regional integration. But do we mean it? Because I vividly, and I'm not pointing to you in particular, Carla, don't get me wrong, but I remember vividly the conversation, you know, about regional integration, and majority of our people were like, no, we don't believe in that. We don't believe in that. So we don't believe in that. We don't believe that somebody should come from a neighboring island to contribute to our country. But here we are calling on the Caribbean prime ministers and the ministers of foreign affairs to come together for the betterment of the region, to stand up against America. But we can't even stand for our own selves. And make it make sense. Really and truly make it make sense. It's 11:46 and we're taking your calls here on the Edge, 662-8674. We have a call on the line. Hello, caller. You're on the air. Good morning.
again, Brother Devonne. I just like to look at something you outlined all up in your brief discussion towards a meeting taking place with the what do you call it, the drug unit, or is something of that magnitude of state?
Yeah, the National Drug Abuse Control Commission, I believe it is.
The meeting is for today, particularly talking about the discussion towards narcotics.
If it's specifically to narcotics?
Yeah, no, they apply to the agenda towards narcotics, the drug agency that utilize formality to say they have these meetings to see how countries are doing prior to level of these specific drug, as they call them.
Well, I'll tell you, the statement here did not specify narcotics. It just said the Council on Drug Abuse Prevention. It didn't specify which drug in particular they're focusing on. It just said drugs generally.
Well, I'd like to make something relevant to the general public because I'm a member of the National Licensing Authority when it comes to the hub. But even from being a member, I'm talking from an aspect of I live in the state within Rastafari. And I feel very sickening to see that we are in discussion to do a legislation towards having licensing going forward from the authority use. Launch will be coming on next month. Now, why is it that we still having our people being harassed and bombarded by police, custom, and army personnel alike? In this day and age to say that they're trying to tackle. Because this is the report that being coming out on the airwave now, that they have arrested 2 people in chaos. Now they have make arrested one in the Navy and charge them on the aspect of cannabis, they call it. Now, we are liking to call for these movements to have a moratorium so we people could have fairly grounds in how we employ in this industry and not trying to look at just creating a dollar and making our people suffer. Well, that is not the moment we're dealing with. We need to deal with it on a proper level. It's time now we have public education so people can have a value of what we are going into as an industry. Because I think you're having our people being victimized and harassed by police, army, and custom. And then we're still going into an industry where people can be bringing in, as you said, because they're saying they're looking for investors to come in and have a capacity within the market. But we have to have our own people here invested too and not be cheated that we don't know about the value of herb. Anyone being harassed by herb, stop saying you're guilty. Say they're not guilty. You have a right to fight this year. And the judge had outlined it in 2019. It's unconstitutional to see that you're putting a policy over your institution, what you call a constitution. Stop this dictate the American and the narcotic agency policies against your people rights. Have a lovely day, Brother Duva.
You too, Carl, and thank you so much for sharing that with us. Let's head back to the phone line to take this call. Caller, good morning.
Good morning, Devonne.
Yes, how you doing?
Yeah, I'm good. I don't think you can put the integration in the Caribbean on the soldier on the shoulders of the ordinary guy on the street, right? He got bigger fish to fry. I think this is on the leaders to have the vision and the acumen to navigate complex issues like this, right? So it is good that some of the leaders actually came out and made a statement vis-a-vis this visa issue, Cuban issue, whichever one you want to call it. Because they have to essentially sensitize their constituencies, the Caribbean, the wider Caribbean constituency, of the bigger picture here, right? Because it's not just about Cuba. if the State Department succeeds in bullying us into accepting their thinking on Cuba, because really Cuba, they want to pressure. They don't really want to pressure us. They want us to come around to their thinking on Cuba. All right? This whole people trafficking thing, I think, is just a red herring. It's manufactured. It's a manufactured issue,
right?
In my opinion, right? They just want to pressure Cuba, and our leaders should really inform the people of the issues involved. Okay, they know the contribution that Cuba has made to our health system, and even Motley, even though she said right now they're not involved in a program with Cuba, she acknowledged their help during the pandemic. Okay? And she rightly said it's a matter of principle. Okay? At some point, you're going to have to stand up for principle. Because you could bet your life, if you fold on this, if you back down on this, something else will come up whereby they want us to act a certain way, and it is either their way or the highway, right? So we have to take a stand at some point, and it is for the leaders to essentially sensitize people as to the bigger issue involved. The U.S. is using, I don't think actually it would apply to the leaders themselves because they probably have diplomatic immunity and those kinds of things. They probably wouldn't take away their visions. They'd probably target officials low down in the ranks. They wouldn't even target, I doubt they'd target the ordinary person who wants to go to the States to, whether for shopping or to visit relatives and that sort of thing, right? They're very specific in targeting officials who they would choose to make an example of, okay? And so we would have to, the leaders would have to decide, do we side with the U.S. on this, or do we abandon Cuba? And I doubt we've heard from some of the main ones, Mayor Motley, and we expected her to adopt that position. Rowley and Gonzalez, and I think Deacon Michel said something. We haven't heard from Dr. Drew or Holness, which I found a little surprising, but I would hope that they come out with statements as well, because it's very important that we speak with one voice. I think the letters probably went out to individual countries, and so individual countries must respond. It can be a CARICOM response of such, because they didn't say right to CARICOM. But the response should be identical from all of us, so that they'll get the message that there's no daylight between us when it comes to this issue. This is an issue, like I said, on principle, and like Motley said, we don't have to shout about it, we don't have to be aggressive, right, but we have to be resolute. Resolute was the word that she used. We have to take a stand and say, listen, this is important to us. We are sovereign nations. Yes, we know we don't have a lot of clout and so on, but we have principle, and we can't accept this. Okay, so let's come around to, let's negotiate something else. They might negotiate, for instance, and say, well, don't be so hard on us at the General Assembly and criticize us for the embargo on Cuba, or something like that. Make some kind of adjustment. But, yeah, you know how they work in these diplomatic circles, right? Quid for quo kind of thing. Something else. But I doubt very much that, I don't think this is something we should back down on. And I expect, like I said, Dr. Drew and Holness to say something about this inconsistent with what the others are saying, right? Some might say that it should be quiet diplomacy, right? We should work with our mouth shut, so to speak. But this is one of those issues which has to be brought to the surface so that the people in the Caribbean understand what's going on here and understand the bigger picture. Mm-hmm. Right? That's my take on this.
All right, caller, thank you so much for your contribution to the program. It's 11:56, and you've been listening to The Edge and ZIZ Radio 96.1 FM. The word you mentioned there, as mentioned by Prime Minister Mia Motley and Chief Carcom, resolute. So not the whole bag of noise and confusion and ray and back and forth, but you must be resolute. You also made mention of quiet diplomacy. Perhaps we're going to get some of that quiet diplomacy, which is sometimes necessary. In a case like this, I'm not entirely sure what the approach would be or should be, but there needs to be some sort of serious or high-level discussion on this issue. It's 11:58, and you've been listening to The Edge here on ZIZ Radio 96.1 FM. I've been your host, Devonne Cornelius, and it's been my pleasure to sit here with you, have a conversation with you on matters of national importance. Until next time, you guys stay safe and continue to enjoy the rest of your Friday. Don't drink and drive, don't text and drive, and please, I beg of you, take it easy on the road. Use this weekend to rest, to catch up with family and friends, and to do whatever you love doing. Unwind and forget about all of these stresses and the worries and just take it easy. But most importantly, please don't drink and drive. Have a safe and fun weekend. Goodbye.